Good morning, everyone. Happy Armistice Day, or as they now call it, Veterans Day. But at the DuQuette house, we call it my father's birthday. My father, oh, this has nothing to do with my father, I guess, but it has everything to do with today's card. But anyway, this is our stele of revealing that we use at our Gnostic Mass. It's a beautiful version of it. This is the actual size of the stele. Anyway, my father was born on 11/11, 1911 at 11:11 a.m. Now, it was probably not 11:11 a.m., but the midwife who helped deliver him, it was close enough to 11:11 that she thought she would actually put 11:11 on the birth certificate to hopefully bring him luck. He was also, the house that he was born in was at 1111 11th Avenue, I think in Los Angeles or Los Angeles community. So he was Mr. 11. But anyway, Dad passed away in 1973, I believe. He was only 62 years old. Anyway, today we're going to discuss the Aeon card. Now, you can probably see that this is sort of a very stylized version of that. And you'd be right. Tomorrow we're going to finish up the trumps in my discussion of the Thoth Tarot, and we'll start on the Lesser Arcana on Friday. The reason at first I thought I was going to do both of these cards today, but the Universe card is a little longer, and I want to give us plenty of time to savor that one. Anyway, here we go. Atu 20, the Aeon. The official title is Spirit of the Primal Fire. It's the elemental trump of fire and of spirit. It does double duty, fire and spirit. The original design is Israfel, blowing the last trumpet. Now, a lot of people say, oh, isn't that Gabriel? No, Gabriel doesn't blow the last trumpet. It's Israfel. The dead arising from their tombs. The angel blowing a trumpet is adorned with a golden banner bearing a white cross. Below, a fair youth rises from a sarcophagus in the attitude of the god Shu, supporting the firmament. And that's O Shu, who supporteth the sky, upholdeth the sky, support thy servant lest he die. That's fun to say at work in front of your co-workers. On his left, a fair woman, her arms give the sign of water, an inverted triangle on the breast. On his right, a dark man gives the sign of fire, an upright triangle on the forehead. The Hebrew letter is Shin. In Hebrew, it means tooth. On the Tree of Life, it's path 31, joining 8 Hod Splendor to 10 Malkuth Kingdom. The colors for fire: glowing orange scarlet, vermilion, scarlet flecked gold, vermilion flecked crimson, and emerald. Colors for spirit: white merging into gray, deep purple, nearly black, the 7 prismatic colors, violet outside, white, red, yellow, blue, black, this outside. That's how it's described. From the heart of the Master, be every act an act of love and worship. Be every act the fiat of God. Be every act a source of radiant glory. I started off with a quote from the Book of the Law. Rahur Kuit hath taken his seat in the east at the equinox of the gods. The traditional name of this card is Judgment, or the Last Judgment. The traditional design shows the Archangel Israfel blowing his trumpet to announce the end of the world as the dead rise from their tombs. In Chapter 6, which is actually an expanded commentary on this card, I attempted to explain why Crowley replaced the Last Judgment with the Aeon in the Thoth Tarot. The reader who has not yet read that chapter is strongly advised to do so now. I will sum up what I wrote there simply by saying that, according to Crowley, the Last Judgment trump is now obsolete. The event that it depicted, the destruction of the world by fire, has already occurred. The world we're talking about, of course, is the spiritual age of Osiris. The Aeon card of the Thoth Tarot depicts the spiritual forces that initiated the next age, the Aeon of Horus. Crowley saw this event as a magical changing of the guard that was foreshadowed symbolically by one of the regular seasonal ceremonies of the Golden Dawn. Every 6 months, the ritual officers of that order were ceremonially promoted 1 chair up, and the new secret passwords were issued. In that ritual, the officer, who had formerly served as second in command, who in that position had magically assumed the identity of the Egyptian god Horus, was installed to serve as Hierophant, symbolized by Osiris, for the next 6 months. The Book of the Law calls the cosmic version of this ceremony the Equinox of the Gods. Horus is the god of force and fire, and his ascension as Lord of the new Aeon spiritually destroys the old world by fire. It only looks like the end of the world to those of us who cannot accept the possibility that old spiritual points of view can ever be replaced by new ones. As we learned in Chapter 5, Crowley asserted that the latest equinox of the gods took place on March 20th, 1904 EV in Cairo. Triggering the events that led up to this moment was the psychic possession of Crowley's wife Rose and their discovery of a 25th dynasty funeral stele. Among other features, the stele shows the god Horus, Rahur Kuit, on a throne. Before him is the table of offerings. Hang on. Standing beside the table is the deceased Ankaf Nakansu. Nuit, or Nut, the goddess of the night sky and infinite space, arches her body over the entire top section of the stele. Directly beneath her heart is a winged solar disk that the Book of the Law refers to as the god Hadith. In Atu 20, Harris interprets the stele in one of the most colorful and aesthetically pleasing of all the trumps. The goddess Nuit, her body filled with stars, her breasts alive with the milk of whirling galaxies, forms a beautiful blue omega as she bends in ecstasy around an immense egg containing the seated image of Ra-Hor-Khuit. There's the seated image of Ra-Hor-Khuit. But his twin brother, Hur-Par-Krat, is standing right in front of him. But look at all those, there's universes in her breasts, galaxies, stars. Okay. Ra-Hor-Khuit holds the phoenix wand in his right hand. His left hand is empty. Standing as a transparent essence before Ra-Hor-Khuit is his twin, Horus, Hur-Par-Krat. See the sun. His finger at his lips in the sign of silence. His head is shaven except for his Horus lock, and crowned with two uraeus serpents. The god Hadith is pictured as a winged solar disk, is nearly camouflaged by the entire scene. See that red dot? And then the wings go down like a rooftop there, see? This is most appropriate, for these are among his opening words in the Book of the Law. In the sphere I am everywhere the center, as she the circumference is nowhere found. Yet she shall be known, and I never. The Hebrew letter Shin is assigned to the Aeon, and a large Shin containing 3 embryonic figures appear at the bottom of the card. There's a big Shin. I got your Shin right there, mister. And there's little embryonic characters inside it. It flames in front of a very stylized set of scales. Now, it may be hard for you to see, but it almost looks like that wave in the back is a very stylized, almost like a very smooth symbol of Libra. Perhaps pointing to the aeon that will follow the aeon of Horus, that of Maat, the goddess of justice and of balance. Crowley ends his discussion of this card with a comparison of the world events of approximately 2,000 years ago at the advent and birth of the last aeon. His words carry a chilling but ultimately hopeful message. The time for the birth of an aeon, it seems to be indicated by great concentration of political power and the accompanying improvements in the means of travel and communication. With a general advance in philosophy and science, with a general need for the consolidation of religious thought. It is very instructive to compare the events of the 500 years preceding and the following in the crisis of approximately 2,000 years ago, with those of similar periods centered in 1904 of the old era. It is, though far from comforting to the present generation, that 500 years of dark ages are likely to be upon us. But if the analogy holds, that is the case. Fortunately, today we have brighter torches and more torch bearers. It's blowing my mind how just accidentally, these the discussion of these these cards and the sequence of these cards with the present world events is giving us all much food for thought. Well, anyway, I know it was a little short today. But tomorrow I really want to focus on some diagrams and things like that for the final card, the universe card, which we'll do tomorrow. Also, I have to finish up and polish up and get ready for tonight's reincarnation visionary magical working on Zoom. And so I still have a lot to do to make sure that that's a fun and informative presentation. So until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other, no matter what the aeon is. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.